I'm buying all the dips. I'm gonna buy all the dips. People are looking at me crazy in the store. They don't know what I'm buying. I'm buying all the dips today, man. What about salsa? Should we buy some salsa? It's on sale today. Oh yeah, what about some cheese dip? Yeah, you gotta have some cheese dip. Buy the dip.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. It is another rough day. In the markets, we do have Bitcoin down. It was down almost 1% this morning. Not too many altcoins in the green today. The majority of the market is in the red. We actually saw gold have a major sell-off. You can see this is actually the gold chart. Just crazy dump. So what is going on? We have gold dumping, stocks dumping, Bitcoin struggling to break back above the $9,000 level. If all of this money is just leaving all of these markets, the question is, where is the money going? Lots of people saying, well, what am I supposed to do? Should I be holding dollars? Like, what is happening right now? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to go into some interesting charts. We have some analyst perspectives on it as well. Obviously, I do want to still talk about my short-term Bitcoin price action, my targets that I actually have looked at. And even though I didn't make a video yesterday, it's kind of playing out exactly as we said 2 days ago. So we're going to get into all that today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, well, we try to get videos out every single day. We do give away a Ledger Nano S every Monday. Drop a comment below and you're eligible. We're going to do that giveaway on Monday. And let's give it a quick refresh. Bitcoin dominance, 64%. So it has gone up a little bit, which means some of those altcoins are kind of hopping into Bitcoin. Most of these altcoins are down a little bit more than Bitcoin today. We do have some gainers: Steam, Kyber, Huobi, Matic, Binance, Nervos, ZB, OKB, and FTX today. Unfortunately, it does look like we are going to close out the month on a red candle. We were so optimistic. We were trying so hard. We had been above the $9,573 level for most of the month, the majority of the month, but unfortunately this candle is starting to look a little bit like July, where we had that high wick to the top, fake out, and we closed red. However, I do just want to mention it is a leap year, and if we look at the correlation between leap years, they always end in a nice gain from leap year to leap year, and as you can see, they do tend to be sort of the bottoms or the sideways accumulations of the massive cycle. So you can see the first cycle, we were up 87x, second cycle 20x, so hey, you know, that's something to be positive about today, despite short-term movement. Unfortunately, still struggling to break above the $86 billion level on the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So this is for all the altcoins. You can see we have a long way to go to get back to the $96 billion level. Bitcoin did fall out of its rising wedge, its upwards channel, whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately, we were looking at this level at around 9,146. We have fallen below it. Okay, so if we zoom out and have a bit of a look right here, we can see that we are below the 21 exponential, the 50, the 200 daily, and currently our only really means of support has been right here at around the 200 exponential. Now, if this cannot hold, what can we expect from Bitcoin? Now, do I expect Bitcoin to keep falling? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I do potentially expect Bitcoin to see some lower lows. However, I am anticipating a bit of a bounce. I'm going to get into that in just a second. You can see, however, that we did close the CME futures gap at $8,540. That actually happened 2 days ago, so we can get rid of this. Now, keep in mind, we do have a very tiny little minuscule gap down here at around $7,685 that we technically never closed. Is it possible that we could close that gap? Well, yes, it is. And it's not necessarily just simply because of the gap. It is because of another thing that I'm going to go over in just a second. However, you can see that we do actually have another gap up at $11,795. So, you know, if you want to be a little bit optimistic about that, I would assume that that gap will eventually get filled. And let me actually show you what it is that I'm looking at right here. Now, you can see that we were supported by this upwards trend that basically started right around the China pump, right? Now, I do think that it's possible for Bitcoin to potentially have a little rally, maybe up to about the $9,000, $9,100 level. There's going to be a lot of resistance there. We will probably get rejected if we do start to pump. We may come back down, try to retest this level. But the next levels to really keep in mind if Bitcoin does fall down is you might come back around to that 8.5K level, but I'm still looking right here at this legacy trend line that started when we had that pump right back here. Well, we had the pump in April, but we started to form the trend around February of 2019. And getting back over here, you could see that it would be possible for Bitcoin to potentially come down to these levels, you know, come back up, bounce around here for a little bit, almost around the $8,000 level, right? If we fall straight down, yes, we could go down to 7,500. That's if we fall straight down. But looking at this over the course of the next few months, you would possibly be looking for a bit of a bounce back. And like I said, guys, this is looking like it's forming an inverted head and shoulders. Obviously, we don't have confirmation yet. We would literally just be forming the right shoulder. But if that is the case, I would look for this to have a major breakout. But the next month is going to be very choppy. The next 30 days to 45 days, I wouldn't expect it to be sunshine and rainbows anytime soon. Could it totally change? Absolutely. Yeah, if we break above this sort of $9,000 level and just, you know, bounce around and get supported, put up a 4-hour close, a daily close above it, absolutely. But right now it's looking like we do want to potentially form an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So we'll keep an eye on it. Could get totally invalidated, but that is what I'm looking at short term. Looks like the S&P 500 did try to have a little bit of a bounce back on its close. Is that going to be enough to save it? Well, we will see what happens on Monday. We did have this major sell-off from gold from top to bottom, essentially putting in a 7.35% drop, essentially almost wiping out all gains from January and February combined. And just to once again point it out, gold is up about 2%. Bitcoin from the beginning of the year right here is still up much more than 2%, just to point that out. Yeah, so starting from January right here to here, yeah, Bitcoin is still up 20%, gold's up 2%. So got to really talk about which one is the safe haven asset here, right? But nevertheless, gold has fallen. But the question is, where is the money going? Well, you can see Alex Saunders actually pointed out, it's clear that the money has been going into the US 10-year bonds, which actually is this blue line right here. Money going into gold until recently was black. That had a dump. Bitcoin has been dumped. Obviously, the stocks have been going down. Now, keep in mind, though, that Bitcoin has not been, like, literally dumping. In fact, what Bitcoin has been doing looks kind of normal for Bitcoin. Bitcoin usually moves like this. I mean, we've seen 20%, 30% straight down dump and pump wicks for Bitcoin before, totally non-correlated with anything happening in the stock market whatsoever. So really, this dip right here is a very normal move for Bitcoin. So I'm not 100% sure that we should really be saying that it is totally correlated. You could see, like I retweeted what Anthony Pompliano said, the stock market has been artificially pumped to the moon over the last decade by policies that mask the real issues, right? Well, what is the solution? What do you guys think is the solution? Well, we have the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, in an attempt to soothe the jittery investors, issued a short statement yesterday, reaffirming that the central bank would use its tools to act as appropriate to support the economy. Well, expectations that the central bank is going to cut borrowing costs have skyrocketed as the coronavirus cases outside of U.S. continue to mount, and economists saw Mr. Powell's statement as a signal that they would soon act to offset any economic fallout. Well, Torsten Slok, an economist at the Deutsche Bank, says it was certainly an attempt to calm down things. This is the strongest hint you can make that a rate cut is coming. Well, let's talk about rate cuts. You can see right here on the 25th of February, the 10-year U.S. Treasury mint, minus the 1-year U.S. Treasury yield curve inverted briefly, which means that the U.S. Treasury short-term rate was higher than the U.S. Treasury long-term rate. So an inversion is considered an indication of risk in the bond market, which is interesting since that's where everybody's running to, and have preceded recessions in, get this, 11 out of 11 in the past recessions. Look, you can see right here, all of these arrows represent them, and then you can see all of these gray areas essentially represent a recession. So essentially, really all we're doing is delaying this, okay? We're delaying the inevitable. There is going to be a recession. I'm not rooting for it. I'm not saying that's what I want, but inevitably it is going to happen. And when you see things like this and this, I think it's kind of undeniable, right? Moving forward. Now, talking about, some people that are you probably saw this. This was Robert. I'm actually not going to play this clip because most of you have seen this, but he is a shark. And he basically said that, he's looking to Bitcoin. He thinks that Bitcoin is a better alternative safe haven asset than things like gold, even though some people are saying it's not. And he's looking for it to potentially, in his own words, quintuple. So that's, I guess, a 5x, a 4x, 5x, well, quadrupled before, so quintuple is 5, right? You also have Virgin Galactic chairman and founder coming out. Essentially, he was over on, CNBC right here, and he was saying, I've been saying for years that Bitcoin is non-correlated, short term. It may have these movements that look like they're mimicking markets, but long-term logarithmic chart, we all know that Bitcoin is the safest place. I mean, hypothetically, the safest place. We only have about 10 years of data, right? We've never actually seen Bitcoin through a recession. It was birthed through the economic crisis of 2008. However, overall, it pretty much just does what it wants. It is the honey badger. It does not care, right? One other thing I want to talk about before we go is, as a part of a defamation case in the New South Wales, Judge Judith Gibson allowed cryptocurrency usage as collateral. She said this is recognized as a form of investment. Instead of a bank account, the court allowed the plaintiff to use their cryptocurrency as an exchange. Now, if it does fall below 13,000 US dollars, should the accusing party lose or succeed, the funds would have to pay the portion of the defendant's legal fees. Okay, so there still is that volatility. It's not saying that Bitcoin is, going to be the ultimate sound form of money, but Gibson did say, I can see the desirability of the defendant receiving prompt notification of any drop in the value account. There are uncertain financial times, but the fact that they're allowing this to happen is a bit of a breakthrough. And on a bit of news today, I do just want to mention that yesterday we did see OKX and Bitfinex both take unexpected downtimes following a DDoS attack. Everybody's funds are safe. Nothing to worry about. All good. And before we go, guys, I just wanted to say one thing. We do also have, obviously a particular individual that likes to just come up with these conspiracies about people, cryptocurrency influencers getting paid, by whatever. I just want to make a statement that I do not get paid to talk about Bybit or to talk about any of these products. I like these products. I use these products. I stand by them. If I wanted to stop talking about them today, I could. There's no contractual agreement to discuss any of these things. When I discuss things in the news, they're things that genuinely interest me, whether they involve altcoins or products or just news from the Fed or the government. They are literally things that I enjoy and I want to talk about. And if I was to do something sponsored, I would obviously let you guys know. I have done sponsored content in the past. I don't prefer it now. I don't think it benefits me. It doesn't benefit you. So I just kind of wanted to say that moving forward, guys, because, once again, there are certain individuals that tend to have their opinions, yet they can't seem to prove anything, but they have a lot of things to say. But guys, that being said, you guys know, yeah, I do use Bybit. I like Bybit, whatever. That's just the truth. I think it's a great exchange. They've done right by their customers, even when they had their Ethereum crazy wick that happened. You saw BitMEX. They weren't refunding anybody for the XRP wick. What did Bybit do? They refunded everybody. They did the right thing. So, actions speak louder than words, but hate ending on such a bitter note like that. But sometimes it's just, it gets tiring having to defend yourself. I've done this for well over 2 years, guys. I think that the statistics stand for themselves. But that being said, guys, I freaking love you. I get up and do this, try to do it every single day. I couldn't make a video yesterday, but and actually Monday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a video out. If I do put a video out on Monday, it's probably going to be later in the day. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I do appreciate your continued support. Let me know what you're doing, though. Are you holding Bitcoin? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you sitting in cash? Are you shorting the markets right now? Are you just in a big fat short? Let me know what you guys are doing. Thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. My name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.